All right. Okay. I always get, got it. All right, let me get this screen going here, the proper view. And there we go. View. I always, I don't see the chat when I start sharing my screen. So how in the world is everyone? How are we doing?
We are doing fabulous, Fred. This is our favorite day.
Oh,
Ready to
wow.
rock.
Thank you. Thank you. Look at that. I like that new look. I like that new look. That's fantastic. All right, cool. We'll have some people straggling in, I'm sure. But as you know, as I say, I never punish those that are on time for those that are behind time. So then I've got somebody I'll introduce as a little bit of a surprise just in a little bit. And I heard about 300 times this weekend. If you're not early, you're late. So we'll talk about that. But anyway, let me share my screen. I had a absolutely fantastic Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I had mentioned before, I don't know if you recall, but I had mentioned that I was going to a personal development weekend. That weekend was actually a Thursday, about 7:30 a.m. till 10:30 at night. Friday, 7:30 a.m. till 10:30 at night. Saturday, 7:30 till about 10:30 at night. And your phones get confiscated. You must stay, even though I lived about, an hour away. I had to stay in a hotel because there was no interruptions whatsoever. It was all about radical success and happiness, basically. Or at least that's the term I gave it as I was contemplating Sunday after that long, that marvelous time of really digging in deep. I said, it's time for me to get radical. It was a wonderful experience. I've been in just hundreds of different things all of my career in personal development. But this thing was amazing. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it and the person behind it here in a little bit. But we got to get radical about our success and happiness. And today I'm going to leave you with 10 keys. And I'm going to be on a soapbox for a little bit here. And then when I open it up, we can talk about it. But I am really feeling radical because, again, a reminder, being locked up with 19 other professionals and listening, and some, you would look and think, what a perfect life. Wow, what a beautiful person. Just like my Inside Out agent channel, I say that, we look at people and we think, oh, they've got it together. And yet you hear that there's still that missing component. And what is that missing component? And that's what we're going to talk about. So you're going to walk away today with 10 keys and habits that will radically change your life and put your business on autopilot. And I do mean autopilot. Last week, we talked about the test that I always ask you to take. Where is your score? Is it going up? Right? Do you have a sense of permanent success? Do you have the power to do it now? Are all your prayers answered? Nature's laws are working for you. So, and we always rate ourselves, right? And last week, if you remember, we talked about calculus for life, a calculus for success. And I asked you all to throw out into the chat box your dreams and then what your obstacles were to achieving that dream, whether it's specific. Matter of fact, we had everything from A to Z just about. And if you remember in that meeting, I pointed out that no one mentioned peace of mind. No one mentioned any love. No one mentioned the word love. No one mentioned the word, peace of mind and love and harmony and all that. But it was all about other things. But where's that personal dream sometimes? So I want to make sure that I keep helping all of us, and myself included, that my score keeps raising and raising and raising in this test that I call, I want to put it on autopilot. So let's talk about becoming radical. Okay, what is radical? Anybody? Do I have any radicals on the call? How many people are radical? You've been accused of being radical. Anybody?
Me.
You have. Okay. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, you're radical sometimes, George. So, relating to or advocating fundamental or revolutionary changes in current practices, folks, and being with these 19 people, and myself included, that's why I'm saying that myself included, I looked again and I went, damn, I still need these revolutionary changes in my life. I still need them. I got to have revolutionary changes. It's not enough to just work on this a little bit, work on that a little bit. I've got to constantly, like a laser beam, narrow that focus in. Many of us are very bright on this call. We have very bright personalities, very bright businesses, and very bright business practices, real estate practices. But a lot of times it's not enough. We need to narrow it in like a laser beam. So we got to get revolutionary and departing from markedly from the usual or customary. We got to be extreme or drastic because this is about life. And you're going to see some stats here. You're going to see why. Relating to or being related to or being surgery that is extreme or drastic. What do? They eradicate all existing or potential disease. We have a number of people on this call that are battling cancer. And a lot of times the way they solve that is they just have to eradicate, right, the disease arising from or going to a root or source. Basic. That's what I want to keep getting to. This is what we've been doing for 2 years now in this idea of Soulful Wednesdays, is getting to the root, getting to the source, and working with the source. One who advocates fundamental or revolutionary changes in current practice, conditions, or institutions. This is an institution. Your family is an institution. Your neighborhood's an institution. You're an institution. So let's advocate for fundamental or revolutionary changes in our families, in our lives, in our practices, in our real estate business with our customers. Favoring fundamental change or change at the root cause of a matter. 7, pertaining to the basic or intrinsic nature of something. And that's where I want to get today, is the intrinsic nature of who are we. And we got to become radical. You may say, now, Fred, stop. We know you well enough. Sometimes you're too passionate. That's probably one of the greatest accusations I've had in my life, and I take it as a compliment. But let's just see if it's something we should get radical about. This is our journey, folks. I mean, no one can disagree with this. No one says, no, Fred, not me. I'm not going to wind up on that deathbed. Not me. I'm skipping that one. I don't like it. I'm definitely not winding up here. So we know, I don't think anybody on the call will debate that this was our beginning, unless you said, no, Fred, I dropped out of heaven. Now, some of you are so wonderful. I actually believe that about you. I have a number of you on my team that I feel that about you, but I know the reality. You started here and you're going to end here as far as our existence. And I don't believe it's in death. I believe it's just a changing our roles, right? But this is definitely it. But listen to this. It is time we all become radical about success as beings and being who we were born to be, not do. Which we've always talked a lot about in our chart, our ego soul chart, born to create and recreate. About yourself, the happiest moments of your life is when something is going well, when something that you created, whether it's your children, even a party you threw and it was great, and you just created something and you're celebrating. That's when we're the happiest, right? Because we are born as co-creators with the source, with what I call God, and very comfortable doing that, and whatever you're comfortable with, but that we get in sync and become co-creators. That's when you're the happiest. As you know, many of you, I deal with people on death row, and they're happy people when they're creating something positive, because that's who we're meant to be. And that we have a life by design, not default with the programming of the BS belief systems from MFTP, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Mother, father, teacher, preacher, that I heard 300 times this weekend, because the instructor that I'm going to talk about in a minute, that's what he's always said, and that's what he says in his book that I'm going to be recommending. Mother, father, teacher, preacher. So 1 in 2 women and 1 in 3 men in the United States will develop cancer. Now you may say, Fred, what are you doing? Most of the time you're so positive. What are you going to be doing sharing these negative facts? Folks, we got to wake up, because a lot of cancer is preventable. 1 in 2 women and 1 in 3 men in the US will develop cancer. You know, I say the greatest C word is not cancer, but it's what causes cancer. And what is that word? Anybody? Can you remember? Boy, if you remember, it would really make my day. It's, remember, we went through the 7 C's, and the C word that prevents us from fulfilling the 7 C's was complacency. And I said complacency is what causes cancer. And so we got to get radical. So look at these stats. I mean, is that sick or what? 1 in 2 women and 1 in 3 men in the United States will develop cancer. Nearly half of all US adults have some type of cardiovascular disease. So 50%. Obesity, 42.4%. Number 2 cause of premature death, just behind the smoking statistic. 22.9% of adults meet federal physical activity guidelines. There's 77% of us Americans do not even meet the minimum federal guidelines, what they call is healthy physical activity. Do we have to get radical, you think? I think we do. What prevents us from doing that? I just threw this out there for our folks in Mississippi who's on the call with us today. Low of 13.5% in Mississippi. And is Don on the call in Colorado? 31.5% in Colorado. We're at a 50% divorce rate. I don't know how many of you have ever gone through a divorce, but if you have, you know it's torturous. You know what it does to families. You know what it does, especially when there's little children, smaller children involved. Do we have to get radical? We have to get radical. Children between the ages of 15 and 19, suicide is the second leading cause of death. And leading cause of death for 14 to 15-year-olds. How many times we don't get radical with our children and parents go, oh my God, I had no idea. We have to get radical about being and creating a life by design, not default. Do you think everything is hunky-dory and before you know it, you get that phone call? I've gotten the phone calls. I've gotten the phone calls with my brother. I've gotten phone calls from many other people that they just wouldn't get radical and create that life by design. And they kept living by the default of the programming that they received, as I always have called it, the BS in life. We are nothing more than the collection of our BS in life. And that's our belief systems that we've collected. So let's get radical. Now you may say, I said down here, but wait a minute, Fred, look, I've got the 3 Ps. I'm in a good position. My business is good. Man, I never thought I'd see 7 digits in the bank. Some of you are really killing it with your sales and your production, and and many of you, I see you buying the Teslas and I see you buying the dream cars, which is phenomenal. Award yourself for sure. Some of you have the possessions, and we think that if we just get enough possessions, and that brings us the power that we need to keep moving forward. And all I need is dollars. You notice everyone thinks that dollars is a solution. Dollars is not a solution, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't have so many people. I know many of you probably won't remember the name Freddie Prinze. He was a young actor many, many, many years ago. And, he committed suicide. And Barbara Waters, if you remember that name, some of you are too young even to remember that name, a real famous interviewer on national TV. Barbara Waters said to someone she was interviewing, when they were talking about the tragedy of Freddie Prinze, everyone loved him. Everyone was shocked. And they said, Barbara, do you know anyone else at risk like that? I mean, that's just shocking us. And she said, I mean, the person said to her when she was asking this question, said, I don't know anyone in Hollywood at his level of stardom that's not at risk of suicide. And she got shocked. And she said, what do you mean? She said, well, no one in Hollywood is happy. So the 3 Ps don't necessarily satisfy. So what is it? What do we need to do? And if you look at the income, if you think that, look, as long as I do real well in my business, all this other stuff takes care of itself. We know that's not true. And not only that, your chances of succeeding financially are so slim when you look at the stats. Even though we're in a very wonderful business that, for 68 hours in some states or 90 hours in another state and a couple $1,000, you're in business. The group I was with this weekend was all chiropractors. I mean, they had a statistic. It's about $250,000 now after 4 or 6 years of school, that for them to get into that business. Here we can get in for a few $1,000s in 60 to 90 hours worth of education. But even that is we got to be radical about our income. But you see, this success will only measure permanent success. Remember, the test is permanent success. Will only come as we get the inside straight, right? And it's the inside out again that I always talk about. So look at these stats. 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 70%. The average American has $90,000 in debt. $90,000 in debt. Only 40% of Americans can cover 3 months worth of expenses. 50% would have a difficulty paying for a $400 emergency expense. Folks, we're talking about the United States of America, the free enterprise where you can be anything you want to be. What's happening? Do we have to get radical? Some of you on this call, your production is embarrassing to yourself, to your family, to your profession, and I know to yourself. When you look in the mirror, I know you can't like what's happening. Why are things not changing? Because you're not changing. Many of us, I know I consult with you, we're in these stats. This is a sad statistic, folks. I mean, when you look today, I don't care how modestly you live. Now, I've always said, success is not fame, fortune, and all this other stuff. If your goals and if your ambition in life is that little bungalow in some little small town with a white picket fence around it and a little dog and a little cat, and you got a porch and you got a porch swing, and that's your dream, and you hit that, folks, you are successful. That's success. Success is the ability to, see the highest possible goals and then achieve them, right? So if that's your highest possible goal, God bless you. There's no one that says, 7 digits, 8 digits is success. It's what your dreams are. But the sad thing is that we want one thing, but we get the other. This weekend, again, another experience. I've done seminars with very high profile people. And when I always ask questions, please give me a list and put it on the back of an index card, a list of your dreams. And they always come back. And not many people talk about love and peace of mind and those things that are personal. They always have things on there. And then I always ask this question, and we did this about a year and a half ago. I think it was last Eastern Passover. Well, when I always do my Easter Passover message, like we did 2 weeks ago. And that is, I ask you for a very simple index card. And I've been in seminars that I've done for, a couple hundred very high profiled, quote, religious people. And I ask them to answer the question, if God is so good, why am I so blank? And I ask them to, on an index card, as fast as they can, to write down that answer. And the statistic won't surprise you. 80% had more negative than positive. If God is so good, and if you're not comfortable with God, if life is supposed to be good, or if God is supposed to be good, why am I so blank? And when you're in a room full of people like I've been, and I ask that question, and 80% come back with more negative, I think it's time to get radical. I had an epiphany this weekend. When I talk about right brain, left brain, that, oh my gosh, I realized my downfall, that I've risen so far at the top, being an 8th grade dropout and all the other stuff in my background, and had risen to the top of my profession. And then I got knocked down back all the way to the bottom. I realized I was not true to who I really was, and that I am 95% right brain. And I was always being forced into left brain. So, if God is so good, if life is so good, why am I so blank? And if you don't put all this in there, if you're not at a 10, then we need to keep working. Now, if you're a 10, you can hang up now, right? If you got it all. But we really need to get radical. We know every week I go through this, right? What we're here for. The Mastermind group on Facebook that we just built a month or so ago. Please join it. If you're not in there, it's starting to develop more and more. And all this is about unlearning. That's our problem. We buy books. I just bought another one this weekend. I'm reading the one from the person who handled the seminar this weekend, Dr. Larry Markson. I've got 3, 4 books going, right? I'm not doing all that to learn a thing. I'm doing it to unlearn it. A Course in Miracles starts out by saying, this is a Course in Miracles. It's a not to learn anything, but to unlearn everything that you've ever learned. A thought reversal system, it's called. And then we always got to stay on that thinking safari, not with the left brain. And you're going to hear a lot about that too. We're going to come back to that, through the jungle of your mind, to help you discover your soul is perfect and there's a giant and a kingdom within you. And ego is evil, and evil spelled backwards, okay, is lived backwards. So that's that damn ego that we're going to keep always talking about, because that's where it all lies, all our issues. And all the lion, tigers, and bears in our lives are just imaginary and illusional. It's all in your head. I always said all in your mind, but I like the word I got today and what's in Dr. Markson's book. It's all in your head. He signs his books that way. Lay aside all sick illusions of yourself and others. We are all one and serving one another. That's the universal law of compensation we're going to talk about this morning. And that's one of the 10 principles. And then let's get rid of all this BS holding you hostage from your MFTP. I added that this week from our slides, mother, father, teacher, preacher. I love it. So let's go and get radical here. Number 1, wisdom versus knowledge. What is the difference? Wisdom versus knowledge. Wisdom is the ability to see and to choose the highest possible goals together with the surest means of obtaining them. Knowledge. Do we need knowledge? Absolutely. As I always say, I want you to get educated. I want you to get every designation in our industry. I've had the privilege of holding all of them, and I still hold many of them. Knowledge is important, but that doesn't run your life. That helps you with the do part of your life. But the real true dreams come about from the 90% of being. So wisdom versus knowledge. I want you to create a wisdom project that I've been doing for many, many, many years. Now, if you're non-religious, or if you're atheist, or if you're agnostic, this is still a great project. It's just wherever there's the word God, just put source or put life or put universe, whatever you're comfortable with. But in the Jewish scriptures, in the Old Testament, right, there's a King David, if you're not familiar. King David, and he had a son, Solomon. You've all heard of the wisdom of Solomon. Psalms is written by David. It's all poetry. And his relationship with life, his relationship with his enemies, his relationship with God, his relationship with that, where he took a woman in adultery and slayed her husband in war, but yet a man, he was still called a man after God's heart. What is that all about? Well, I'll tell you what it's about, is that we are all about what we came here with, as you know, I always say. So it had nothing to do with what he did, because that was a big mistake. But it still was used by the source. It was still used by God. But Psalms and Proverbs, if you really want to become a wise person, and as the Course in Miracles teaches, the main goal in all of our lives and the main prayer of all of our lives should be, above all else, I want to see. Above all else, I want to see. Above all else, I want to see. Because see, that's the only way that these other principles are going to come about. So the Wisdom Project is Psalms and Proverbs is very interesting. This was given to me as a young man, 25 years old. It's interesting how it plays out. If you take the day of the week, okay, if you take, the day of the month, and you add 30 days to it. So the day's the fourth, correct? So this morning I did Psalms 4. I did Psalms 34. I did Psalms 64. I did Psalms 94. I did Psalms 124, because it ends at 150. And then I did Proverbs 4, because Proverbs is from King Solomon, who was the wisest man that ever lived. And it's all about wisdom. And if you're not comfortable, again, change the word God to life. But I'll tell you, if you get into this project with me, Watch what happens. This weekend, for the first time, was familiar with Enneagrams, but I'd never gotten into them. Oh my gosh. Remember 4 weeks ago, on my 101 step a week journey, I came across positive intelligence, and I came back and we took the test, what our saboteurs are. Well, you need to put these Enneagrams right in here. I put in your slides that you're going to be getting today, and we're going to send you both the PDF, and we're also going to send you a Google link today. That way you can have the PowerPoint or the other, because I want you out here sharing this stuff in whatever organizations you're involved in. But you need to get in this. Positive intelligence. Don't give up on that. Please get his book. Take the test with positive intelligence. Find out what is sabotaging you. But these Enneagrams, I mean, I was just blown away. Now I'm going to recommend a book. And I didn't know this gentleman was going to be on the call. I just texted him this morning about 15 minutes ago. I said, Dave, Larry, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I do this mastermind. If you feel like you want to jump on, if you happen to be around, you ought to jump on. He wrote a book, Talking to Yourself is Not Crazy. He was the person who hosted this 3-day, take the phones away, lock them up. He is the gentleman that introduced us. You got to get his book. Talking to Yourself is Not Crazy. So with that, for about 3 minutes, Larry, I saw you did join us. God bless you, my friend. I love you. I mean, this man is my role model, guys. I very seldom have ever met another man in my life, and I'm not blowing smoke because he's on here, because I told him this right after the weekend, that I look up to so much, respect so much. And it's not because he's had it easy, but because just like myself, he's an overcomer. But more importantly, he's all about the soul and not the ego. And he has a whole lot to be proud about the ego. And he hangs out with people that are in the 100 million, 300 million, $500,000 net worth kind of club. And he has no part of that, because all he brings life. Larry, pop in here and say hello, my friend. I hope you're still with us. I know I saw you on here. Where are you? Oh, he may have had to get off. Okay. He may have had it because he does a lot of coaching and consulting. Darn it. Okay. I saw he did jump in. But anyway.
Oh, Fred, he's still there. He's mute.
Oh, he may have had a call from a client.
Hello.
Larry, there he is. Larry. Speak up, my friend. Let me hit stop share. Just say hello. Whoop. Where is he?
Muted again, Larry.
He does Zooms all day with his clients. He may be having a tech issue.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, got it?
Yeah. So Larry, thank you for hopping on, my friend.
Well, you got me hopping off because I have some consults to do with people around the country. So I'm wearing a hat and a t-shirt and just underwear. So good thing that it's just up here. I want to compliment all of you, because very few people that are in business or so-called successful in the traditional sense of the word take any time to work on themselves. They work on the business, they work on what they were taught to work on. You show up big, you do better, blah, blah, blah. You make money, you buy cars, you fulfill all the things. We don't do that. We say that it's all in your head. Your success and your happiness and the things you accumulate are in your head. They reside in your left brain, which were taught to you by your mothers and your fathers and your teachers and preachers, anyone that taught you anything, and your right brain, which is the brain of creation. That's where music comes from. That's where poetry comes from. That's where the inner you comes from. So I want to tell you, believe it or not, and I thought I was going to have trouble. So Fred shows up with these 19 other people. And I said, well, he's got podcasts and he's big shot in real estate, and he's going to need controlling by me. So I had handcuffs ready. And he was early. He came in early. He came in with great attitude. He took notes even through some videos that I was showing about how to transfer yourself from one dimension of behavior to another. And he was taking notes. He was in the game. He talked to every single person. It was amazing to see him flourish and shed some of his past stuff. We shed, we release, we give back to the universe things that are no longer necessary for our fulfillment. And so I'm saying my book, by the way, which I think you can get on Amazon, I don't even know anymore because I wrote it 10 years ago, but we believe that talking to yourself is not crazy. So I talk to myself every day. I build myself in the morning. I did it upon awakening. I build myself up in strong and noble thought before the bastards outside knock me down and tell me what I cannot do, the mistakes I made, blah, blah, blah. So I talk to myself every day. I build myself up. I have goals and I do affirmations. And when I get to the nighttime, I do meditations to slow the chatter of my left brain so we can put in the thoughts that we want. And then we do visualization, which is the biggest key. To close your eyes, lower your brain chatter, to chatter your brain. One of my things that I say is success cannot flow into clutter. If you look at your desk and your car and the kitchen drawer and the trunk of your car, there's clutter. Success cannot flow into that because your brain is oscillating at 14 to 21 cycles per second. So you have to slow it down so your thoughts can permeate. Anyway, I don't want to take any more time. You gave me 3 minutes.
Larry, hold on 1 second. But listen, you see, guys, Larry lives in Broken Town. He lives in a mansion. He drives fancy, really nice car, not the Rolls that he used to drive many years ago prior to getting in touch with the soul. He now
I don't live in a mansion. I live in a nice warm home. I don't drive fancy cars, but I could.
But and he's always been healthy all his life. Never had to battle any health issues, right, Larry?
Except cancer and seizures and blah, blah, blah. And I go down the list, all self-made. I attracted cancer. I attracted an esophageal tumor. I attracted the seizures, and that because my thinking was poor, my actions were poor, my belief systems. The big thing about success is we believe things to be true, and then we are taught them, and we believe them to be true that are not true, but because we believe them to be true, we act on them as if they're true, but they're not true. So I had to go through all the things that I erroneous beliefs, things that held me back, things that my father told me, sit up straight, cross your hands, eat 9, 12, and 6, all rules. I was taught rules by my parents, and finally I found out that I'm an individual. I can make my own rules. I can wake up, I can be healthy, I can be vital. So you look at me now, I'm at 82 years old and I'm still working, not because I have to, because I love helping people. When you love what you do in your work, no matter what it is, real estate, whatever, when you love what you do, where you clean out your cobwebs from your brain and allow other good feelings and visualizations to come to you, and it's expressed by success, health, and happiness.
Amen, brother. Larry, thank you, my friend.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to meet all of you. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, while Larry's on, I got to watch you. 82 years old. Listen, 3 days from 7:30 in the morning till 10 at night. That man didn't. A lot of times he didn't sit down. I mean, it's incredible when you really are tapped into your soul. All the stuff I've been talking about for a couple of years together here. When you're tapped in. And again, when we're going to our ego chart in here in a minute, where I have the health on the one side and sickness on the other. Here's a guy that's battled all these. That didn't battle. He, as he said, he called a lot of it was self-made. But you should see this guy. You should see his energy. It's incredible. And having dinner and perky at night, and it just. Larry, thank you so much, man.
And then collapsing the next day. Nice to meet you.
Hey, no, wait a minute. Another thing. I thought I probably won't hear from Larry. 11 o'clock Sunday morning, I get an email from, hey guys, just following up as promised. Here's the list of all the attendees. I said, wait a minute. This guy, I thought I would hear from him at least for a couple of days. He'd have to recover,
You don't need to recover when you're on point.
Amen.
I need to go to work. I need the money.
All right, man.
See you, everybody.
Yeah, you need the money. Bye-bye. Guys, it's amazing, man. And I finally, sometimes, as you work through these things and you're trying to help other people come along with you, it's very challenging, right? And I've never met, I had a lot of great mentors, Dr. Dennis Waitland, but unfortunately lost contact over the years. But the way I got approached by a chiropractor friend, said, Fred, hey, I went through this thing called the Cabot Experience 4 years ago. It's intense, it's expensive, but I know you, man. You love personal development. I think you'd get a lot out of this. So I said, she said, connect with Larry. I call him. I said, Larry, I said, tell me about the cabin experience. And I'm listening. I said, well, a lot of that sounds like I've already been through, right? You know, a lot of it. I mean, how many years do you have to do this for the rest of your life? 82 years old, folks. He meditates every night. He does affirmations every morning. But anyway, I said, and then I said, I was waiting for the price when he told me. And he says, well, it's $5,000 investment. $5,000. 3 days of my life, no telephone, locked away at a hotel, couldn't do anything else. Folks, let me tell you something. Had I not attended, it would affect the generations to come in my family. And that's what I keep saying. We're not here just for ourselves. So let me run through these 10. I want to make sure we get through these and not rush in the end. So wisdom versus knowledge, please commit yourself to a wisdom project. Okay. The Enneagram Institute, please study that. It will change your life, the life of your loved ones. Get your kids involved, get your relationships involved. He was just talking about the right brain versus the left brain. The right brain is the co-creator with the universe, with the source, with God, with life, versus the left brain. The left brain is all the stuff that just the facts you need to get by in this life. That we were given that left brain. If it's so bad and that's where the ego exists, were we given to it in the first place? Well, that was to get us to maneuver through. He says that's in his book. You know, you build yourself up and you get the right brain so strong. So when the left brain bastards come along and knock you down, before they try to knock you down, he does this. He pulls his shirt open and he says, I just do this. And he says, you know, his Superman repels him. So this right brain, look this up on Google, right brain versus left brain. And the other project that we did, that was the first time I did similar, but not where we painted. We took a real big sheet, the 18 by 24, you know, like an artist chart, right? And we had to paint our lives, our future lives, in pictures only. And I'm not a great artist, and that with the background, you're not going to see mine here. No, you're not going to see it. No, I didn't think so. But, you know, I encourage you, not only encourage you, I'm going to be radical that you do this. Take an artist type of size and draw pictures of your future, not vision board, not stuff, but you. And the results that come from your life. And mine has a whole lot of dollars on it. Mine has, you can't put numbers, you can put symbols, but paint it out. It was a 90-minute project that we did. And folks, let me tell you something. That's where I said, oh my gosh, that alone was worth $5,000 for me. Because what I drew out, I went, now I'm clear. Now I'm clear who I really am and what I'm trying to accomplish in this third quarter of my life. Parent versus child, you must study this. As a result of this session, I came across, because I was studying the right brain, left brain, I come across this guy's book that I'm now in. I just ordered it for Sunday. I'm ordering books, and that is Self-Parenting Complete Guide to Your Inner Conversations, John Pollard. This whole idea of the inner child, you know, saved my life 7 years ago when I went to a course called TLC, the living course, which is the same type of thing. Well, away for 3 days, but $800, not $5,000. And it was a lot of inner child work, but I never really continued that as much. But then I discovered this book, and it's a lot of diagrams. It's a lot of practices for you. If you really want to get your life together as far as from the inside out, I encourage you, you've got to get Self-Parenting Complete Guide to Your Inner Conversation with John Pollard. I am blown away at his work. External versus internal. Let me tell you what our number one issue is. We always internalize the external instead of reversing it. It's always inside out, never outside in. Folks, the day I was leaving, Sunday, I came back prepared for this radical time on the beach on Sunday to take all this in. I had a call I had a text message, I had a email from the EXP state broker. Fred, it's emergency, we need to talk. You've been reported by someone. Someone I was reported by was someone I helped close $1.5 million listing about 1.5 years ago. Someone that I helped do a $4 million auction project. Someone that I bailed out of where he had gotten someone involved. It was one of our agents. It was going to cost her a $50,000 deposit. And I said, guys, I can't put any more time in this. And because he had messed it up, I said, look, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to give me a referral fee. This was a $1.7 million sale. I said, and the referral fee I want is $2,500. At least I'm taking time for my grandchildren. He told me to go F myself, and he hung up on me. And I thought he had left EXP. I wrote him a nice letter. I said, so-and-so, if $2,500 is that important to you, I want to send you a check today for $2,500 to try to understand who you really are, because I'd hate to see you go through life with that type of attitude for the rest of your life, because I'm genuine. Fortunately, I wrote that email because the same broker, he's gotten called on the carpet. He has a big law. He has EXP in a big lawsuit. He won't be around much longer. And he wrote them in email that I now have, well, if you're going to do that, then you better police Fred DeFalco. He tried to exhort me for $2,500 because he was going to go get a private money lender, and he wanted me to send him a fee immediately of $2,500. He literally, and that was issue 1 on Sunday. And then issue 2, a family member came up and they said, hey, listen, you know that deal we had, and changing deals on me. And then I had another family. It was like crazy. And I said, wow. Darn, God, I thought I was okay a little bit. Do I really have to really take it? I can't really do something with this. But I only 5 minutes, maybe I started to internalize, whoa, wait a minute. I can't do that. Because if you internalize it, you will come out in defense, you will come out in attack, or you'll go drink, overeat, whatever it is. So we can't internalize. It's never, ever, what's ever on the outside of you, Ken, is not allowed on the inside, because you've got to reverse it. 5, law number 5, rule number 5, vision versus provisions, or lack of. You know, if you're lacking something, it's not the provision. We know people hit the lottery and 2 years later they're broke. You got to have a vision, not more provisions. It's not something outside you. And the way you get that is what Larry's talking about, the right affirmations, the right self-talk. As he said, the meditation to slow down the chatter. You've got to get over and be a master in that right brain where the creation is, where the co-creator is. The left brain is where your ego resides. That's where your ego resides. I had someone yesterday say, no, it's not. No, it's not. I started trying to tell them something, and I go, oh, okay. And I just listened. 5 minutes later, they came back and said, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm just reviewing it. They're not doing it that way. I said, oh, okay. And I refused to internalize their external thoughts because they were coming from left brain. I'm always in the right brain. Not always, but I'm getting better. I think I'm there about 90% of the time. So anyway, you can't internalize. Next, being versus doing. Never, ever say I am not doing enough, or I need to do this. I need to get my KV course straight out. I need to get my data. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you haven't done it yet, it's not because of what you didn't do or did do, because you didn't do it. It's because of who you're not. You don't believe that those people in your database are worthy of you because you're not worthy of yourself. You are where you are today, and so am I, because of what I didn't become, not because of what I did or didn't do. It's just I didn't become big enough. My being. That's why. Being versus doing. 7, laws. Folks, we operate in this universe with divine intelligence and divine integrity, and no one, divine integrity, whether you want to call it life source or the universe, will not stay in integrity. They won't do it. You can't pray, dear God, help me, or dear universe, help me, or help me, when you haven't shown up and realized who you really are. Because the universe knows who you are. God knows who you are. You're perfect. You're wonderful. You're a creator. You're just a little bit lower than the angels, Psalms 8 says, right? So there's laws and there's truths and there's reality that are divine. Gravity is a law of the universe, right? I defy you to go just jump off the building and say, I'm going to test it. But yet we test these other laws. The give to get law, we test that all the time. We give and for the wrong reasons, out of obligations. I have someone right now I'm going through, and they're in a terrible, terrible position. Wonderful soul, wonderful person, worked their rear end off all their life, and they're in a really bad situation because they're helping family too much. They're helping family too much. So we don't understand what give to get. You only give to get a greater capacity. And if I give something to someone and I enable them like a child or something, and an adult child, then I'm not being true to the law of give to get. See, you only give for one reason, and that is to have a greater capacity to give in the proper way. I see mothers just smother their children, right? And a lot of times adult children. You're not, that doesn't fit within the law. Give to get. You're supposed to be giving to get a greater capacity. So that's the key of giving, is to get a greater capacity to give more, not give to people that where you hurt them, but where you can help them. The law of compensation. You sow, you reap. That's with deeds, that's with actions, that's with thoughts. Someone said to me the other day, Fred, I said, we've got to get that credit report straightened out. And I said, this is the firm to do it with, Lexington & Law. Don't use any of these other fly-by-night companies. I said, it's $89 a month. They said, Fred, I can't afford $89 a month. It's that bad. You can't have that thought, because that's what you're going to get more of, right? So we got there because of this idea is that we're not following the laws of divine integrity, divine intelligence, and the law of win-win, the law of attraction. We know that, we've heard it, but we haven't studied that enough. And then Rhonda Burns, her latest book, her book after The Secret was The Power. You've got to get that. That's all about the power of love, the laws that the universe works in love. For example, the law of win-win. If I structure this deal, believe me, and if I try to overcome the sow reap, I try to get, like, I don't want to work too hard. Hard work, I want to work smart. I want time freedom before you pay the dues to get time freedom. I guarantee you, even though you might be doing well now, that is going to be, somebody else is going to take it away from you, because you got to have this in the proper way. You can't just, a farmer just can't go out there and throw corn seeds in and go, I don't want to plow. I don't want to labor. I don't want to get up 4 o'clock in the morning and go plow my fields. I don't want to go turn this stuff over. Well, guess what? His harvest is going to be, and your harvest, even though you might have it immediately, it's going to be taken away from you. It's just the way it works. Law of co-creation versus fear. We are co-creators. We got to know that's a law. It's not a law that, oh, here's the rules, but it's just inherent in the integrity of the universe and the divine intelligence. The law of co-creation. Any type of fear, 5 ounces of fear, you need to stop. You need to say, wait a minute, where's Fred's slide deck? I've got to get into this. I've got to go into Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill and Fred's slide deck. I've got to read Marianne Williamson. So the law of co-creation versus fear, because fear is nothing but law of destruction and law of shortchanging. And the law of shorts, because either you're creating or you're destructing. Let's say if you're kind of taking advantage of someone right now and you're not being fair with the deal you cut, and they're tolerating it. You might think, hey, this is great. I'm not working as hard. I'm getting this deal. And I really didn't do what I should have done for that seller. It'll sell off MLS. I got news for you, man. You're shortchanging. You don't do it for the other person. You do it for yourself. You give it all you got, no matter what it is, with your marriages, with your children, with everybody. 8, use and understand the words need and try. If you ever use the word need, it only should be in the context of food, because you need food. You can't live without food. And you need water. You don't need anything else. You may say, Fred, that's not true. You need love. They've proven that. Well, there's a whole discussion we can have on that, but basically it's food and water. What we got to understand who we are and who we really are. That's what it is. We need to understand that. It's understanding, it's wisdom. Need has to do with knowledge. The right, try. We had an exercise this week. He just Larry held up the pen to someone. I said, hey, come here a second. Try to take that pen out of my hand. Try to take that pen out of my hand. Now, just picture that. Well, what do you mean try? Either I'm taking it out or I'm not. And he said, no, come on, try it. So the one person said, okay. And they got closer and he looked at Larry and said, come on, try it. And so he took it and he looked at him. He says, you didn't try. So what does that mean? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. One of the things that is the lack is real healing and salvation. Now, this is not a religious term, folks. I don't want to offend anyone's different belief systems, but salvation is not of another life. It's salvation of this life. It's salvation from ourselves. It's healing of ourselves. What we lack, okay? The real lack is always healing. We haven't healed ourselves and healed ourselves only from understanding of who we really are, who we were sent here as. and salvation from ourselves. We need to be saved from ourselves, not a bad real estate market. We need to be saved from our head, not the market is good or bad, not that there's no inventory, not that the interest rates are going up. We got to be saved from ourselves. I heal as I help others to heal from self. So the more you read, the more of a healer you're going to be, because you're going to be healing yourself every time you read, every time you get on a call like this. Soul versus ego mastery. You've got to master this, folks. You've got to master this concept. This whole thing is loaded with it. And that chart that we always go through. You've got to live, which is the soul, versus reversed live, which is evil. Because living, it can only be done on the right side of that chart. And this is so simple in a way, but why do we always go back to our default of the ego and that left brain? Why do we do that? It's because our programming, you can't unprogram yourself 30 years or 40 years of the kind of stuff that you've been programmed with over here and expect it to work in a week or 2 weeks or a seminar, one seminar. You know, in order to live over here on a constant basis, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, it takes discipline. But this is who you really are. And then when we're over here, this is crying out to us, and it gets so loud sometimes we have to have an extra drink to drown it. You know, we want to become a person of tension relieving versus goal achieving. We want to abuse substances instead of becoming a person of substance. We do not want to become people of substance. It's just the ego will battle you. Your left brain will battle you. Now, your right brain wants to be a person of substance. Your left brain just wants to have some tension relieved. You know, you've got to study this when you get these charts. Tiffany and Joe, if you could put that on in case anyone's got to run. I'm going to wrap up here. So you got to master that. You've got to master that. Please take that chart, print it out, put it on your bathroom mirror and go, where am I going to live today? Get into the meditations, get into the affirmations. Number 10, if you do not understand forgiveness and atonement is 100% completed from the source and cause, which I call God, but if you want to call it universe, folks, we're 100% atoned for. We're 100% forgiven. Do we make mistakes? Yes. Then that's all they are. But this subject in the effect is me. So forgiveness and atonement is already 100% completed by the source and cause, which is God or life or universe. But it hasn't been accepted by me. When I find myself depressed, I'm not accepting my perfection. I'm not accepting the atonement that life has already given me. And the reason is because there's somebody I haven't forgiven. And a lot of times it's myself. We did 2 hours, 3 hours on a forgiveness project, writing letters. And after we wrote them, we all evaluated each other's letters. You said, you better not dare send that, because it's all about what they did wrong. It wasn't about forgiving them. And then a lot more other people wrote a letter of forgiveness to themselves, which I did for myself. And again, it was just more of a beating myself up. You need to write this, watch this on YouTube and learn how to write a true forgiveness letter. Some of you that I've been coaching have a long way to go with this. You have not arrived. I said to someone the other day, I said, you know, one of the things is you haven't done yet. You haven't forgiven God. They said, how dare you? What do you mean I have to forgive God? I said, your ego still accuses God that you got a bad shake in life. Instead of you looking at those circumstances that they've served you, you're still looking at them as they've harmed you. And the universe doesn't give fake lessons. You know, we are here to learn from one another, and everything is here to serve us, and we serve one another. So that's why I say you can't internalize anything external. That external is only a teacher. That call from the state broker and found out someone went to the far, just tarnished my name, everything they could do. Fortunately, folks, I wrote an email to him, and I had put in writing, dear so-and-so, I'm so sorry you feel that way. When I asked for a $2,500 referral fee on a $1.8 million deal that you are going to leave the company and blah, 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 and you told me to go F myself, if $2,500 is that important to you, I want to send you a $2,500 check. That solved the problem. They're no longer, I'm not sure whether he's gone yet or not, but he will be very soon, because there's a big lawsuit going to see. Well, how did he get in that lawsuit? Well, it's because of who he's allowed himself to become, or not realizing who he is, not who he's become, because that's not really him. That's his programming from his culture. And the culture he came from, I understand, but he's responsible to fix it. And he will go through the rest of his life pointing to other people and tell them to go F themselves and not realizing the help that I really delivered. By the way, I got that deal done in a 4-day period with a private loan from the listing agent with Coldwell Banker, was a very successful commercial listing agent. She provided the extra $150,000 private loan that was lacking because our agent was going to lose their $50,000 deposit. Folks, that's what is possible with the soul when you operate there. So, you know, I go ahead and get your slide deck, get the link. I hope that you go ahead and really, really get radical with your life. There's nothing lacking. There's nothing missing. If you feel that way, say, who haven't I forgiven? How do I forgive myself? How do I forgive my parents? How do I forgive my mother, father, teacher, preacher? How do I forgive? You know, how many of you are familiar with Louise Hay, Hay? Any of you? Louise Hay? Study Louise Hay. A woman who has radically changed the world. She brought healing to so many thousands of AIDS patients, all through this message. There's nothing wrong with them. And doing the mirror project, talking to the little child within, these inner conversations. Matter of fact, she's the one who recommended this book, The Self-Parenting, The Complete Guide to Your Inner Conversations. Study Louise Hay. Now again, Louise Hay has some beliefs that I don't necessarily subscribe to. You know, in some of her theological, but I appreciate them. I love them. I listen to her, and people who have that same concept. I love engaging in conversation because it's just I can't get there in my conversation, but it's all about communication, conversation. I don't need to convert them to what I think, and they don't. Then they have no need because they're very soulful people. So please get radical. How many of you are going to get radical? How many of you need to get radical? Get radical. And it's never complete, never complete. I have so many resources on that slide deck for you. The mini course for life, the Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I mean, my phone and my email should be blowing up with, oh my gosh, Fred, I finished this book. I finished that. I did what it did for my life. I don't get them. I don't get them. And a lot of that time is because only 10% of the people are trained this way to really desire. You know, Larry is the first time I heard him say that. He talked to my friend. He said, man, I'm just so impressed with Fred. He showed up and he's like a new student because he and I had spent a couple hours on the phone chatting. He had lunch with me. He treated me to lunch. And he said, the first time I heard it, he said, I had my defenses up in handcuffs. So that was a big compliment. You know, we got to be in the space of learning all the time, and you've got to dig in this stuff. You've got to dig in this stuff. Join the Mastermind group if you're not a part of it yet on Facebook. I really want to get to where we're interacting and helping each other. You've got to tell your story, not that you are your story, but that what you're learning from your story. What you're learning, like Louise Hayes did from her multiple abuses as a child and being thrown out and having to go home and rescue her mother by an abusive stepfather, all this other stuff, you know, how that served her all her life. Just an incredible story. So with that, I'll stop being radical. Any radical ones want to speak up? Who's going to become a radical with me? Let me see. Come on. Speak up. No radicals?
I did the living course years ago in Fort Lauderdale.
You did? What year?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. It was maybe 12 years ago. That was the most intense emotional course I've ever done in my life. And I've done a lot of courses.
That saved my life, by the way, literally. Wow. I could not understand how life had gone so wrong when I thought I was doing everything right. And I had 35 years of personal development. And I never went into that inner child work that they do. Was Rita there?
Yes. You know what? Maybe it was 15 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. Rita's a trip, right?
Yes. You know what she did to me? I do this thing where I smile at people, but I'm really angry. And she goes, what's all that smiling about? She's like, you're giving me the FU foot. Like I had my foot, like I wanted to kill her with my foot.
Yeah, she knows her stuff, man. Yeah, matter of fact, I'm involved in that now. You're going to be hearing more about that. That's changed now to the real course that I'm a part of, and we're going to be bringing that forward to everybody. Somebody else, that's exciting, Danielle. That's exciting. I'm glad you did that. Anybody else? No more radicals. One radical here. What do you think, Danielle? Anybody? Come on.
I could talk about this stuff all day. I mean, I've done, and yeah, I've done Landmark. I've done what else? So many things.
Where are you? Where are you in Fort Lauderdale?
No, I'm in Boca. You know, my husband Brian. I don't know if he's still on the call. Brian Schachter.
Oh yeah, where's Brian? Is he here? Oh, there he is. He's there.
Still on the call.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Cool. Did you guys do any of that together?
Yeah, we did. We did a lot of work with Landmark, which we love, which is similar to what you're talking about, but a little different. But yeah, we did 2 years of Landmark. And I've done some like really advanced courses
Well,
with them.
I got news for you, Brian and Danielle. Everybody, Annabelle, are you on? Write their name down. I have my assistant from the Philippines on with us. Write their name down. Guys, you've just been elected into helping me bring about that attitudinal healing, the mini course in Boca, and put on some public meetings. That is so needed. Families are literally, I mean, they're just falling apart. I had a young gal walk in my office yesterday. Her husband left her with these beautiful small children, and she's a beautiful woman, beautiful. And a doctor walks out on her, and it just, what is going on? It's attitudinal healing is needed, folks. This stuff is real stuff, real stuff. So anyway,
I want to say one thing that you're saying. It's something about trying, and what do I there's something that a lot of people are lacking. It's, you don't have to do anything. Like you said, there's nothing is wrong here, and there's nothing we have to do. So then when we don't have to do anything, it opens up all this freedom to be and choose, power of responsibility and choice.
See, the ego doesn't like that, right? When you say you don't have to do anything, oh, you say, well, wait a minute, I had to show up at this meeting. That's not what we're talking about. You know, we think we are broken. That's the first problem. We're not broken. We're perfect. We're perfect beings, little lower than the angel, Psalms 8 says. But we have been programmed that there's something wrong with us. Every religion programs us that there's something wrong. And if you're into theology and you'd love to have that discussion further, I'd love to have it, not just a conversation, because we don't realize where this thing has gone over the history of mankind. That's what the difference in the Passover and Easter is all about, is that how the history of mankind has gotten better. You may go, you out of your mind, get better. Yep, read the statistics. Gotten a whole lot better. I hate to disappoint some of your egos, but it's gotten a whole lot better. But anyway, there's nothing wrong with us, folks. You're perfect the way you are. We just don't know how to tap it. That's it, because of the programming. The ego is live spelled backwards. Live spelled backwards. Please print that ego soul chart with all the different characteristics in there and put it up. And as soon as you're angry, as soon as you're disappointed, as soon as you're depressed, whatever it may be, as soon as you feel accused, say, okay, I'm in the ego side, got to get over on the soul side. And as Larry said, he meditates, 82 years old. Folks, he gets $5,000 a person times 19 people for a course. He gets $2,000 a month for a 30-minute a month coaching call. And what is he doing? He's not doing what he's doing for the money. I guarantee you'll see him in action. And the lives that he's turned around, the businesses that he's turned around, getting people to this point that we've been talking about for a couple of years now. So anyway, thank you so much. And we're going to give anybody else the last one, and then who's going to take over? Who's going to take over? Thank you, Ray, May the 4th, or whoever you are up there. Who's taking over, Tim?
Thank you,
That's
Fred.
funny.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you. And I hope I start getting some emails, guys, and some text messages and going, oh my gosh, I just completed the mini course. Or, hey, I just listened to Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's changed my life. Folks, you're talking about 3 hours for the smaller version and 5 hours for the one with all the history behind it, which will radically change your life. Get walking, put some headphones on, and you know, beat those statistics. I was sharing with someone this week that I was coaching with, And I mean, I cried when this came as a realization to me this weekend about my sister who was 72, a most beautiful soul, healthy as a horse. She passed away of pancreatic cancer. It dawned on me this weekend because I kept battling in my head. How did she bring this upon herself? Then I realized how many people that she served, just she shouldn't have been serving. Adults, adult children. A husband who didn't take care of himself all his life. Now, that's hard for me to say, put my family stuff out there, but it's reality. And for the last 6 years of his life, needed to be cared for. And she held down a full-time, very responsible position and coming home and caring. And I realize your mind doesn't realize, your soul doesn't realize, but you're saying, well, it's not, I didn't take care of me. So guess what? It's time for you to, when it's time for you, you don't have enough and your body's already gone into dis-ease and it's too late to take care of yourself. And even though I tried to practice some of this with her, in 7 months, pancreatic cancer said, sorry, she's already done too much damage by not taking care of herself, by not getting this. But yet she served everybody else all her life. She set herself on fire that other people could be warm. And folks, you think that you're giving to some people and you're hurting them. You're hurting them. That is a classic of my life. I lost my entire fortune because of that. Wrong information, belief system, getting over there in that left head saying, well, maybe I should help them bail out of their house. Maybe I should help them bail. Maybe, and adult people who needed to live with the consequences, and I bailed them out. And it didn't serve me. And some of the same people, when it came time for me, what do you think happened? But again, that's not bitterness. It's just reality that we're wrong. We're programmed wrong. We need to reprogram ourselves. You need to take care of you. And that inner child work is so critical, so critical. So I'm back being radical. See you later. I'm going to run. Thank you all so much. Love you. And I want to see some positive emails, okay? That I did, not that you have to do, but that you completed. That you completed this and completed that on some of those charts and stuff. I put my ego chart up in my bathroom, something that's small. I need some courage. I need some heart. So send some back my way. Okay? Good seeing you guys.
Fred.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.